Not Hunt, a game of territorial squirrels. In this game, yes, we are squirrels and we're trying to connect locations on a board by forming lines of squirrels and or squirrel nests. If you're thinking about Ticket to Ride, so was I when I read the rulebook, and after playing the game I can tell you that indeed there are several similarities there. We Ticket to Ride, but on a modular board and with a scary fox that scares us a lot but never eats anybody. So the board is modular. You're gonna shuffle these tiles and then place them randomly to form this configuration, but so the placement of each location from game to game is random. The point is to form lines of squirrels that connect these locations. These cards are called missions. So to score this mission and score that many points, I need to connect Hickory Hunt with Briar Run. And they are it's hard to find them. And again, you can't rely on them being in the same location. You can't learn where that one is because it'll be in a different location. If you find them, let me know. Also, the tiles kind of look fairly similar to me. You have to look at the white name on them. I just think the game would have been more playable, although less pretty looking, if these had been wildly, vastly different, completely different pattern, completely different illustration. At a glance, it stands out that this one is this one. Wait, no, it's that one. This is Willow Wallow. And Briar Run, again, it's this one, but there are just so many other ones. Or maybe I need to connect Willow Wallow and the Crag. Suppose that these are the cards that I start with. And now I got Willow Wallow that happens to be here. And the Crag, I gotta look for it. Honest, I'm not pretending I don't know where that would be. There it is, the Crag. So during the game, it'll take you part of your mental capacity is gonna be busy just figuring out where things are and then keeping that in mind, remembering which are the connections. Not as easy, as intuitive as connecting New York with Boston or San Francisco in, again, the train game. So this is the purpose. You're going to try to complete these missions, and you do so by placing squirrels on the board. We'll talk about some of the details. There are 4 kind of nuts represented by those cards. We collect them during the game, and then we spend them to recruit squirrels. Also, if for whatever reason there ever are 3 squirrels of the same player in a location, they're immediately replaced by a nest. And nests, they count as squirrels for the purpose of forming connections, but they cannot be scared away. They don't move as opposed to normal squirrels that are scared away by the fox. You score and complete a mission if at the end of the game only you have a line that connects the extremities of that mission, the Crag to Willow Wallow, and that connection has at least a nest in it. Again, that is only at the end of the game, which is important because the fox will will terrify our squirrels and force them to move around. The way it works, when it is your turn, the first thing you do, you roll a die, clearly made of Colby Jack cheese. And once you have the number, you look at this template and it tells you the direction in which the fox moves. If the fox moves into a space, then any squirrels, they're immediately scattered. That is, they need to move to an adjacent hex, but not the one the fox came from. So, for example, I could scatter there. Which, by the way, you can see that ruined my connection for that mission. If that happened the last turn, that's it. I just lost a number of points, and that may mean that I lose the game because of this die roll, because of where the fox goes. So the fox moves and scatters squirrels, does not scatter nests. Again, there may have been squirrels from multiple players, and they all can scatter, and they can scatter to the same location if they so wish. If, again, by scattering you form a cluster of 3 of the same kind, then whether you like it or not, those 3 squirrels become a nest. So the fox moves, scatters squirrels possibly, and then the active player, the roll the die and move the fox, gets to forage. That is, they get to collect 2 nuts, and the kind of nuts they can collect is indicated by the location in which the fox just moved. If the fox moved there, then they can collect the 2 pecan, because pecan is the only kind that is available for forage there. If the fox have moved there, then actually the active player can choose to forage a single acorn and a single walnut. Those are the 2 that are visible there, that are available there. I don't know if you can see. There you go. Or 2 acorn or 2 walnut. So you will be collecting nuts. After the fox moves, scatters, and basically produces nuts for the active player, the active player can choose up to 1 action. They don't have to do anything. They can recruit a squirrel. Remember, you're collecting cards representing nuts. To recruit a squirrel, you pay the cost indicated in the hex in which you want to place a new squirrel. For example, by discarding 2 walnuts, in this phase, as the active player, I can place a squirrel there. If I want to place one there, I need to discard 2 pecan. If I want to place one in the fairing, then I need to discard 3 of the same. So that's how it works. You can also always discard any 3 of a kind to replace 1 of another kind. So one thing you can do, or as your optional action after the fox moves, recruit a new squirrel. Or, oh, this shouldn't happen. They never want to be in the same spot. Or, as your optional action, you can hassle the fox, meaning if you have a squirrel adjacent to the fox, you can actually call it, like calling names, the fox will come, and then you scatter. And again, that can be a way to force the fox to move if you want to so move. Then you also, if you hassle the fox, on top of getting to control the fox and scatter squirrels, you can also forage 1 nut from the space where the fox just moved. You can also scout for an objective. That is, again, this deck of objective or mission cards. You will draw 2, spend some time identifying where they are, and then you select 1 and you keep. Ticket to Ride style, at the end of the game, the locations that you did not complete will force you to lose points instead of scoring them. So you continue to play until a player has placed their 4th nest on the board. At that point, each nest that you have on the board is worth 2 points. Each mission that you did not complete, it loses you 2 points. And each mission that you complete, again, connecting those locations with at least 1 nest, scores you the number of points indicated there, plus an extra point for each intervening hex. So, for example, if I'm scoring the Crag to Willow Wallow, then I will score 4 points because of that, plus 2 because of the intervening hexes. But in truth, the round before last, that happened, and so that those 6 points have become 0. That's how you play Nut Hunt. When I looked at the components, I was really impressed by the production value, by how pretty everything looked. And I read the rulebook and I thought, this is going to be a light, fun, simple, family-friendly game. Until I played it, then my optimism vanished quickly, and I play with my kids because this looks like the natural target for a game with the stopping, which is very cute. Everything is nice. No one really dies. However, there is a lot of randomness, and there is a lot of working hard to build something just to see it then taken away from you by a random roll of the die, which is probably a little dated in today's game culture. Is not done quite as much as it used to, and definitely does not work well with young players. And we had some sort of like rage quits or rage semi-quits that in any case made the game not quite enjoyable. Again, the rules are very simple. A child can play it, but kids don't take well the negativity of being scattered away, trying to work their way to create a connection and then have it removed. Sure, you can make one just of nests, but then the game is over. And if you just some of those squirrels, nests and squirrels, you're trying to also get them to connect as much as possible, overlap as much as possible, have a line of 3 nests, and then I have a kind of little branching connections of squirrels so that are less vulnerable. You can try to do that, but you don't get to decide really the missions that you do. Well, you get to choose 1 and 2, but again, what if you don't get the ones that overlap, and then you're kind of stuck because you want to get more missions, more connections, more objectives, and you're at risk of losing points every time. So there is an element of randomness that to me is a little unwelcome, especially when you consider that otherwise the economy is pretty tight. It's going to take a couple of turns to collect the right nuts to get the right squirrel, which then won't go in the location where you want to. Well, it'll go, but then it'll be pushed away somewhere else. I just feel that the random element is too much and makes the rest of gameplay a little bit trivial. It also really does not help that the simple mental logistics or remembering where things are, figuring out where things are, it's just annoying and frustrating. The beauty of a game should be an added value. You should never make gameplay less pleasant. As an interface, the component should be as functional as possible, and the functionality of the game is reduced by that, by the fact that you're building a certain connection, and then later on you realize that, oh, wait a second, that's not where I thought I was building. Oh gosh, my objective says I need to connect something else, but I thought it was that other hex which is in that area and looks very similar. And that idea of having to relearn the board and feeling confused by the cards and spending time looking for the locations, that will happen every time, the whole time, because the board is new every time. And again, there isn't just enough visual difference there to make the locations stand out. So beautiful production that unfortunately comes in the way of gameplay, and gameplay ultimately has some decisions that seem interesting, and it's nice to build up to your objectives, but too much randomness then takes that away and makes the game, well, not very satisfying.